Welcome back to the Authentic Creative, expanding our capacity to feel good. Beautiful souls. I'm just taking a breath because I'm so excited that you're here because today's guest is an absolute powerhouse of inspiration, joy, and transformation. I'm going to be dialoguing here with Dana Hunter Fradella, a transformational career and empowerment coach for women on the verge of a breakthrough. She's the founder of Girls Who Recover, host of the Girls Who Recover podcast, a proud mom to three wild girls, and hot wife to her A-plus husband. I love that so much. That just makes me so happy. Dana has spent the past 2 decades helping hundreds of women create powerful shifts in their careers, finances, and lives. Dana lives for running, live music, meditation, all things New Orleans, and learning how to harness the laws of the universe to manifest a breathtaking life. She's living proof that it works. Dana's manifested the partner of her dreams, 10K plus months, her dream home, a joyful business, Taylor Swift concert tickets, and so much more. This conversation is going to be about claiming your worth, embracing your desires, and stepping into a life you truly love. You'll feel Dana's vibrant energy and walk away with so many gems of wisdom. So if you're going to get into this and you want to know more about Dana, you can connect with her on Instagram. You can shoot her an email, girls.who.recover@gmail.com, and she would love to hear from you. So Dana, I'm so excited you're here. How does it feel for me to read that back to you? Do you feel inspired by your life? Is this really exciting to hear that reflected back to you?
There, I'm so excited to be here. And yes, my whole soul was like, receive this. This is who you are. And so I had a somatic response. It was felt like glowing and tingling. Yeah, that's who I am. That's what I've done. That's what I do. That's why I'm here. And it felt
I
really, really good. Thank you.
I am very moved by your bio because you just are claiming, and even just right here in this moment, you're claiming your worth, you're claiming your joy, you're claiming your hotness. Like that is very inspiring. And so many of us have been conditioned to not claim our full worth, to not claim our full joy. And I really want to get into how you've learned to decondition from anything that has told you that you can't be proud of yourself or that you can't be in your full joy. What's that process been like for you?
That is the most gorgeous and also enormous question. And I go very deeply into it on my podcast, but the gist is this. So I want to out myself that I had a leg up. And as a mom, I also feel like I have a leg up because of
Okay.
this. When I was a kid, I'm the oldest of four. My mom is a badass. She is a trailblazer, and she sent this message in her profession, in her passion, in her walk in life that was, of course, we're worthy. And of course, you can have whatever it is that you want. And it wasn't a question of, am I worthy? That was never even on the table because she stood very firmly in her own worthiness without even needing to use the word worthy. I
So
don't know
where did
about like
she
that
get this from?
generation.
Did she get that from her mom?
I'm
Like,
gonna have to bring her on the podcast series and ask her
yes.
that because I don't know is the answer. And that's actually a
Okay.
great invitation for me. I'm like, I need to get my mom on my podcast and interview
Yes,
her.
yes. Let's hear from
So
mom.
but let's say wherever it came from, she embraced it and she embodied it and was up in her generation against a whole lot of patriarchal resistance in a
Right.
field that was dominated by men and had been forever, and
Mm.
said, I'm going for it anyway. I'm going
What
for it
did she
anyway. I'm going
do?
to do.
What was
So
her passion?
she is, continues to practice. She's an ophthalmologist. So she's an eye surgeon.
Oh,
And
wow.
I just said this in either on my podcast or a class with my workshop from this week. She was told by her father-in-law, my dad's dad, that
Mm-hmm.
she had taken a good man's place in that medical school.
Oh,
Right.
uh-huh.
And so but she has this thing in her that's like, we don't have to listen to that. That's noise. And she doesn't use words like feminism. She
Mm,
doesn't use words like patriarchy.
mm,
She
mm.
just knows what's possible for her, given whatever her paradigm is, and she goes for it. And so that
Beautiful.
I haven't had to That's not actually the truth, but there's been less unlearning of the
Okay.
subscription to the patriarchy that says
Mm-hmm.
that you're unworthy, that feeds
Mm-hmm.
us. I just taught a class right before we taught we
Mm-hmm.
we signed on around where do our beliefs come from? And they
Mm-hmm.
come from four quadrants. One is media, right? Media. Hold on,
Yep.
I just have it open. Just have
Yeah,
it open in my
great.
book. So they come from four places. One is media and society. And so the exercise that we did together was we did a T chart from a teachers in the house. It's basically a big this is actually not a T, it's a cross. But the top is media and society.
Mm-hmm.
So if you just take a breath and be like, what have I believed that came from media and society? Like I don't know about you, but when I was a kid, I had access to there was not the internet, but still the
Magazines,
magazines, Cosmopolitan, those quizzes,
TV.
the
Yeah.
TV. So access to whatever media is available. The second one is friends and peers. So the people around you, the people that you're
Yes.
looking to your left and your right. And if you're hanging out with a bunch of girls who I shared this story too. I transitioned from a very small private school, or it was a Catholic school, confusing because we weren't Catholic, another story, another time,
Uh-huh.
to a public school. And
Yeah.
I remember being in PE class, and there was a line of girls in the locker room standing in front of the mirror, picking themselves and each other apart.
Mm,
And I was like, what's happening right now? Why are
mm,
you doing that to
mm.
yourself? So the questions came up immediately. I don't know how old you are in seventh grade, but that's how old I was. There
Yep.
was this dissonance where this is what other girls are doing. I don't relate to that. I don't relate to that. Why are they doing that?
Yeah, like 12. Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So the third one is your family, your parents, what your mom is doing, what your
Yes.
grandmother's doing, what your women and men and whomever that you're related to. And the last one
Mm-hmm.
is your education and religion or other social frameworks that you're a
Got
part of.
it. Okay.
Okay, so that's a stack of
Yeah.
all these quadrants have beliefs, deep-seated patriarchy-based beliefs
And they feed each other too.
that feed each other,
Yeah.
that help us codify our subconscious mind. Completes development as is around age 8. And
The
so
belief
until
systems.
age
Yeah.
8, our belief systems are what we're told, right? We eat
Mm.
we eat what we're given at the dinner table up until
Yeah.
8.
And
And
what's modeled for you? And you
right.
were modeled with this like smart woman. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Now, that's not to say, because frankly, some of that must have worn off, because in high school I started to attach my worth to the boyfriend or
Mm-hmm.
this friends or the
Mm-hmm.
social circle
Yeah.
or the alcohol or the achievement. I was
Yes.
an achiever. That's the women I
Okay.
coached too. We're like, we're recovering overachievers, we're high
Yep.
functioners. So I deviated this attachment and attached it to my success.
Feeding
That's where
off
I,
of praise, like
yes,
I'm loved if I'm praised, and I'm praised because I'm loved. And then, yeah, it's like a cycle of,
feeling worthy and seen
yeah,
because I got the A, because I got the degree, because I got the award, because I went to
yeah,
the fancy
yeah.
school, because I traveled, and I would get those things and still feel so empty.
Sure. Yeah, sure.
And so I don't want you to think like, oh, I have sidestepped all that, but I did have a leg up, right? Because I saw many people do not have that kind of example. And so we're
Right.
infiltrated with the beliefs, and then we go on and wonder why, no matter what we hook into, we're feeling unworthy, unwhole, unhappy.
Mm, mm,
And that is my work in the world, to
love
really
it.
question that. Like, okay, where did that come from? Is that actually real? I love the Byron Katie, the work. Is that real? Of course, no, none of that's real. It's just the food we've been fed at the dinner table. That is
Did you grow up with spirituality? Did you grow up seeking? Did you grow up reading spiritual books? Was this something that came into your life in your 20s, 30s? How was this evolution for you?
that's a great question. And it's hilarious. It's so funny because, the universe is funny. We were just talking about this in my membership class that I teach. And the short answer is I was connected to God as you get connected to God in religion. I do not want to have commentary on religion. I'll just say I was very confused
Mhm,
about who God was, how to access
mhm,
God. We were raised
mhm.
Southern Baptist and went to school with the Catholics, and in no situation except for when I was a part of a youth group in high school did I ever feel like the spirit of the universe was a loving presence that I could access, that loved me unconditionally, which is what I have now. a loving access to the spirit of the universe who beats my heart and breathes my breath and is totally for me all the time.
Love
And
that.
so, yes and no. I got the introduction, which I did have to unlearn. And where
Mm.
did I get the reintroduction? Well, because I attached so much of my worth to the pursuit of the external,
Yeah.
I, like so many people do, made room for a substance abuse disorder. So I
Mm.
had really bad progressive alcoholism.
Mhm.
And in 2009, I had my dream job, owned the house, dating this like wealthy, wonderful, handsome
Wait, what was the
man.
dream job that you had?
I was a principal of a high school that was
Oh,
all about
wow.
social justice and
Oh,
advocacy.
wow.
And it was, uh, speaking of laws of the universe, somebody gave me please, you can roll your eyes all you want on this one, but somebody gave me a copy of The Secret in
Oh, yeah.
2006.
Yeah.
And the
We were
next
all
year,
into that. I mean, come
I know,
on.
right? I love it. I'm obsessed with the laws of the universe. Turns out law of attraction is a secondary law to the actual powerhouse law, which is law of vibration or energy. But I don't know if you want to go there. I was in the middle of my dream job. I was 25, leading a high school in the middle of Baltimore City, which, if you know
Wow.
anything about Baltimore City, I'm not the demographic. I was a visitor on the turf, but it was
Yeah.
exactly what I had envisioned. And I used the laws of the universe plus the force of my own, like, I'm gonna go for this. The audacity to go for what you would love. And I remember the sound of my heels clicking on the hallway floor as I went down to greet the teachers in the morning and say hello to the students in this moment of I'm in the middle of everything I've ever loved.
Wow.
And you'd think that'd be enough, Siri, but because this disease of addiction is progressive, it never gets better until it's interrupted with a solution of recovery,
Mhm.
which can look different ways for different
So
people.
that's the girls who recover. Got it.
Yes. And it doesn't have to be recovery from a abuse. In this conversation, it's a recovery from forgetting who you are, which is
Mm.
born whole and born worthy,
Mm.
always have been, always will
Mm.
be.
Got it.
And in this moment, the breath of worthiness, we are all as a society recovering from this false belief that we aren't enough, we aren't already whole. That's a lie.
Can you go back to what you just said, the
Yeah.
breath of worthiness, and
Yeah,
expand on those words? Because you know I'm a breathwork facilitator, and that
I
just
do.
fascinates me. So, the breath of worthiness. Tell me more about the breath of worthiness.
So excited. I didn't think I was going to get this excited this early, but let's go. Let's move with it. So I want to connect the dots, okay? So
Yes.
I had everything that I'd ever wanted in my whole life, but still felt dead inside. And so the alcoholism took over. I burned it down, as we do. Self-sabotage is another word
Yeah.
for that. Mine
Yeah.
just look like also linked to alcoholism. It does not have to be linked, but this
Mm-hmm.
movement of let's have everything we'd ever love and then sabotage it. That happened through me multiple times. I don't want
Mm-hmm.
to say to me because life happens through me, not to me. Okay. You know
Yes.
that.
Yeah.
And so in that recovery movement, I was shoved into the loving arms of a recovery program that will go unnamed. And through the work there, I unearthed the old ideas and beliefs and got in connection with a higher power.
Mm.
You don't even have to use any word. You can pick whatever word you want.
And
So,
that was a massive catalyst for your
yes,
transformation, it
that's
sounds
where I got
like.
connection to my actual creator, my actual spirit of the universe was in this expansive, wide highway of the recovery movement provides is that, listen, we're just trying to access whatever it is that's not you, that's beating your heart, that's breathing your breath, that's moving you forward. And by the way, it's for you. That doesn't come from the recovery movement, but I picked that up along the way.
Mm-hmm.
That current is for you. It's
Yeah.
not working against you, right? There's no judgmental, angry, hate-filled God. That's a lie of the patriarchy. I am going to call that out. Okay,
Good.
but let's talk about breath of life, breath
Yeah.
of worthiness.
Yeah.
I've been sober in recovery for 15 years. That's the foundation of my seeking to connect with this spirit and understand the laws of the universe and practice them to help not only my life and my own family, but every woman that I can possibly encounter and empower. And the only thing I do is to show up and remind you who you are.
Mhm.
And I love this breath of worthiness because from my perspective, a breath is from the spirit. The breath represents that we are being
Mm,
breathed by the spirit of the universe. Call it
mm,
whatever you want. The name is unimportant.
mm.
But as a
It's beautiful.
reminder that there's something moving you, there's something breathing you. You can hold your breath even if you want to. And what happens is you pass out and start breathing again. Because the spirit through the breath will have its way for you to keep you whole and alive. And I mean, you know the power of
I'm
just the
just
breath.
breathing your words in. It's just life-giving. It's life-giving. Your energy is life-giving.
And when you click into, it's like your puzzle piece fits into this belief, which you do not have to have any kind of mom to make the new agreement. You make a new agreement. I am whole and worthy just as I am. I'm a creation of the creator.
Mm,
I'm a piece of the master that
mm,
Kathy's mentor says,
mm,
a
mm,
masterpiece, some
mhm.
of the one,
Yeah.
someone. You click into that just like you believe anything else. So I talked to my daughters about, I have three daughters, 4, 7, and 9. I'm raising them on like the French way to get to expand your palate, which is
Four,
you
seven,
just
and
keep,
nine.
I know, so fun. They have direct access to the spirit. They're not
The
wondering
French
about their worthiness.
palette? Sorry, I interrupted you. Go with the French palette thing.
Yes. So there's a great book that I read when I right when I had my first baby, and it's called, oh gosh, I'm gonna have to look up it's called Eat Like French Kids Do or something like that.
Okay.
And it's written by an American who lived in France who watched the French people expect their kids to eat everything and how they did it. Okay, but here's my point and why I'm bringing this in. Well,
Yeah.
shout out to France and French. My girls go to immersion school, and that's the way I want to raise
Oh,
my girls. So
yay.
um, they start to love all food by trying it and trying it and trying it and trying it. And by the 17th time, their palate has digested it and they try and eat everything. And it's the same thing with these beliefs or ideas or agreements, or even like think about your mind as a YouTube channel, a
Mm,
new subscription that you have to just click 17 times or so. I'm worthy and whole. I'm worthy and whole. I'm worthy and whole. And then to amplify it, you get connected through breath work, through meditation, through prayer, through whatever practice with the spirit that beats your heart. And then on top of that, you surround yourself like we do in community
yeah.
with other women who are believing in their own worthiness together,
Mm.
imperfectly.
Yeah, creating those mirrors of worthiness. And yeah, it's so interesting. I love the metaphor of the French palette and like choosing your channel and choosing to expand and choosing to repeat and repeat and soak over and over. Like we talk about in Buddhism, like the blue dye and like dipping it in and dipping it in and dipping it in until it becomes this indigo. And that's like your faith, that's just deciding where you're going to immerse yourself. It's a reprogramming, like you're saying. Yeah, it's a choosing. That's very inspiring. You're making me want to get my kids to expand their palettes, which I've always been trying to do. But but yes, it's expanding our palettes, and it is the same as expanding our mind and expanding our community of like-minded people who want to live the fullest life that they can live, who want to be happy, who want to feed themselves with positivity. Yeah.
And
Okay.
here's the
Yeah.
kicker. You're going to eat anyway, you know? And you're going to program your mind anyway. It's not like you don't get to think. You don't get to not create. Even if you spend your whole day in bed, you created a day in bed for yourself through the power of your mind. We're always creating. So it's not like we have to do anything extra. We're just
Mm.
picking up the wand. So this is my favorite work tool. It's a wand. We pick up the wand and we point it just slightly in a different direction. So instead of I'm stupid, I'm not worthy, I'm never going to be successful, we just gently, Course in Miracles teaches that a miracle is a gentle shift from fear to love. So a gentle shift. I am worthy. I am whole. I am perfect just as I am. I am growing. I am moving. I am loving. I am loved. You hear the difference? It's not a big. The,
Yeah.
the work then is, remember we talked about this media society, is to ask questions like, okay, well, what media am I clicked into?
Yeah.
What social circles am I subscribing to? What
Yes.
about friends and peers? What relationships am I linking arms with? Are they women who are picking themselves apart? Then stop that one.
So,
What about family? You know, like, okay, well, we're not going to have 1 hour conversations with our sisters who hate themselves. I don't have that. That was just someone else. My sisters love themselves. We're not going to invest. We're going to divest and then reinvest in media and friends and family, or create your new family and classes and spiritual practices that are affirming our worthiness so that the new belief is codified.
got it. So, Dana, what inspired you to create, and we touched upon this a little bit, Girls Who Recover? What was that moment, and how has your personal journey influenced the work you do with women on the verge of a breakthrough? We've touched upon this quite a bit, but I just want to crystallize that. The discovery, the inspiration, that that kind of moment of Girls Who Recover. When was that? How did that come about? And how is that journey going right now?
Let's be with the question. So
Yeah,
beautiful.
yeah, it's a big
Mhm.
question.
Yeah. Yes. And so I can't emphasize enough that Girls Who Recover is not a movement to recover from any specific thing. If you have a drug addiction, you need to go to a program that's aligned with that issue. If you have alcoholism, there's a program for that as well. And so this isn't intended to be a substitute for that. So the inspiration came from this. I told you I've been in recovery for 15 years. I've also been truthfully inclined to notice the disparities in society, and the was a women's studies major at Vanderbilt, and have just felt really called to noticing what's different between the expectations between men and women in the classroom, on the soccer field, et cetera, everywhere you take a breath. And I felt led to, let's notice it and let's do something about it. A lot of times it's like when I don't watch the news, but when other people do, they repeat what they saw on the news and then they sigh about it. Oh, what's the world coming to? So the interruption there is like, okay, I'm seeing the information and now I want to take action to do something about it. So that foundation inspiration, same thing with my mom. She's like, there aren't men, there aren't any women here. Her path wasn't to close the gap for women, it was to light the path with her own journey. And so I have been 15 years in the recovery movement and noticed that even in the healing from alcoholism, healing from eating disorders, healing from substance abuse, we are still selling ourselves so short. So women with 5 and 10 and 20 years plus of continuous sobriety and recovery are still in jobs they hate. They're still in
Mm,
partnerships that suck their soul. They're still underpaid and underperforming and not fully alive, which is the birthright of everybody, and especially my women in recovery, because we get a new life. How dare we play small? And so that was the inspiration, looking around not only in typical society, but also in the rooms of women who got a new life, a new miracle, and still believe, not to their own, it's not their fault, it's the 4 quadrants, they're not enough to be paid 6 figures a year. They're not enough to be with a partner who loves and adores them. They're not enough to do work that aligns, that makes them come alive. That's the purpose. Not to fix that problem, but to light the path to say, absolutely, I'm doing it. And the crux, the camel, the straw, the camel's back was, even in sobriety, I still chase the idea that if I could just be successful enough and make enough money and work hard, then I'll finally be okay. So I
mm,
found myself 2-ish years ago making a ton of money, doing work I did not love, and wondering why I did not want to go on,
yeah.
even in the miracle of sobriety and recovery. And
Mm,
it was because I was subscribed to the idea that so many women are, and especially women I work with, that we can't have it all.
mhm,
Why? What's underneath that? Because we're not worthy.
mhm.
We're not, right? Which is fake news. That's false. And so the inspiration came when I was in the middle of maybe a nervous breakdown, crying on the floor, feeling the carpet on
Mm,
my face. Like,
mm,
I can't live like this anymore. And
mhm,
here's the thing, this is what I love about having a direct connection to the spirit, is that it talks to you.
mhm,
Your intuition, my
mhm,
intuition, as I grew my practice of connection, got so loud that I couldn't go another day not being on assignment, which is what I call in my community. Being on assignment, being in agreement. Before we got here, we made an agreement with the creator about what our special gift is. We said, I'm going for it. And then we got caught up in the narrative of society and said, well, I can't go for it now. I don't have the money, or I don't have the, like, I would be judged, or I'll perform and lose my friend, and I'm gonna play small and wonder why. I gotta look up the statistic because it is so alarming. The percentage of women that are medicated right now for
mm,
issues
mm,
caused by not being on assignment, being out of
mm,
agreement with what you're supposed to be doing. Why are you supposed to? Not because you're shoulding, because that is your special gift. That's your talent. It's your calling for the world, and you're off calling. You're hiding
mhm,
on the backstage of your own life, taking medicine to just feel okay. Now,
mm,
I am not inviting anyone to stop taking medicine. I am inviting everyone to ask the question, what would you love if you had this magic wand and it worked because you're the creator of your own experience? I'm saying that again. It works because you get to stand into your right as the creator of your own experience. What would you love? What would you do? How much money would you welcome? What would make you feel fully alive? What would you love? And I swear, Siri, when I get on calls with women and I ask them, it's like they eyes glaze over because it's been such a long time since anybody's
mm,
ever asked them
mm, mm. Yeah,
that.
they're not
That's the
even
inspiration.
aware of what would light them up because there's so much conditioning and people pleasing and conforming and just trying to survive and deal with all the struggles of life. And so they don't even know like how to dream. We've forgotten how to dream, so many of us. And we kind of have that amnesia throughout. So we have to keep waking ourselves back up again, keep remembering, keep having these mirrors like you talked about with each other, and keep listening to podcasts that are
Yes.
going to bring us back to our remembrance. So you talk about manifesting a life that takes your breath away. What practical steps do you recommend, Dana, for women who are just beginning, like you're talking about these women you just, pointed to trust, just beginning to trust in the power of manifestation and the laws of the universe? Because what's interesting, I find, is there's all of the stuff we're up against and the conditioning and what we see around us and the internal critic and whatnot. And there's the learnings that we've had and we're starting to embody, and we're all in a different, path with how much of this kind of work you're talking about that we've like fully embodied. And so then it's like, how do we then, you know, continue to like really step into this world of possibility when this other world of quotes reality wants to keep kind of like dragging you back, right?
Hmm. It
Mm-hmm.
does want to drag you back. Yes, it does. It's like the ex that won't let go, you know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's a good one.
Ooh, you ask such gorgeous questions. And so the first practical step is, I think every woman should get a wand. This is the most beautiful metaphor because it reminds you of your own personal agency and power and magic. The magic meaning now you get to wake up to what's actually real, which is not what you're experiencing in your current, the three dimensions. Our mentor says, and this is in all of the folks that teach this, what we're seeing right now is simply a 3D imprint of all the thoughts and feelings and beliefs that we've had up until now.
Mm-hmm.
So there's good news there because every woman, every single woman I've ever met can look around her life and find things that are incredible, that are miraculous. And I get to say, you, in conjunction with the creator of the universe, created that for yourself. Wow. Look at how beautiful that is. And we start there to show evidence of what's possible when you step both feet into Technicolor, just like Dorothy does in Oz, from the black and white into the Technicolor, which is what's real, although it looks like it's not. It is. That's the reality. You get to create that. And the tip
Yeah, so
is,
you're saying like really start with acknowledging the truth of something that you see that's positive in your world, in your life, that you can kind of point to and go, wait, I manifested that. I created
mhm,
that.
mhm.
Oh, if I can create a button, I can create a castle. Oh, this is a beautiful candle. Wow, I created that. I manifested that into my environment. And so you just start small with these little pieces of evidence, is what you're saying.
Yes, with this foundational belief that you are creating no matter what. So if you have
Mm,
issue with manifestation, that's fine. Let's use the word creating. Either way, it's the same potato, potato. We're always creating, whether we believe that we're creating or not, we're
right.
always doing it. So I would say the first practical tip is to begin to understand that and to step
Mm,
both feet into you get to create and you have been creating for this many years. So I've been creating for a gorgeous 43 years of life. Now, for half of that, I didn't know I was creating. I thought it
mm,
was happening either because it was happening to me
mm-hmm.
or it was happening because I was working so hard to make it happen.
Yeah.
But neither of those are practices of real creation.
Yeah.
The practices of constriction or victimhood.
Control. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, yes. Those are, Esther Hicks talks about, there is a flow of well being. And whether
Mm,
you're in the flow or you're not, it's still flowing and it's still
yes.
flowing. And that's why I said a spirit that's working in my favor. It's the same concept. And when I believe that things are happening to me, or I believe that I have to force and control it, I'm blocking the flow of goodness. It's like we love to go tubing in the summer. And when there's a river that's moving and moving, I could either get in my tube and enjoy it, or I can jump out the tube, turn around, and let the river beat me up and go nowhere. And it's the
Yeah.
same concept. Okay.
Yeah.
So, first practical tip is please step into your ruby slippers of being the creator of your own experience. You're going to have a lot more fun that way. And the second, so the second is let's look for evidence of abundance that you have co-created, even if you were asleep at the wheel, meaning you weren't awake to the idea that you're creating. So step one is look for evidence because the brain looks for what we tell it to. The
Yes.
brain won't
Yes.
work for the wand. Depending on where your wand is pointed, which is where your attention or your
Mm-hmm.
agreement, your brain will start to see evidence of that.
Mm-hmm.
So just in your example of the candle, my brain was like, "Oh, let's look around the office. You've kept that plant alive. Look at all that sunshine. I've got my passport up here, manifesting a trip to France for my family. Look at this, these beautiful manifested this. Someone gave these to me. My brain immediately started working for me.
Yes.
This is
Finding that
another
evidence of what's good. Yeah. Yeah.
And the brain is so dumb. She just does what you tell it, But the thing is you got to tell her. I love my
Yeah.
brain. Don't get me wrong. I love my brain, but she's often, because of the way we're biologically created, wired against me to keep me safe.
Mm-hmm.
Wired against my dreaming and against my going for it, against my risk taking, and against me being brave and saying the things on a
Mm.
podcast, yours and my
Yes.
own.
Yes. Yeah.
She says,
Great.
"Don't do that to us. It's gonna make us feel unsafe. You're gonna kill us. It's a tiger. It's a bear." Okay. So, second practical tip, and then I'll pass it back to you,
Mm-hmm.
is follow that up with the powerhouse question: What would you love? What would you love? And then crack open your notebook. Let's move some energy with your pen, and we're going to talk about four different quadrants. What would you love in your health and wellness, mind, body, spirit? I love breath work. That's why the universe connected us together. And I went to your class and felt fully alive, right? I love that stuff. So I create more of it in my experience, health, wellness. Second one is love and relationships. What would you love in your love and relationships? I love to feel sexy. I love to feel intimate. I like to go on adventure. So that is what my marriage looks like. I feel
Mm.
sexy. My husband's dirty texting me right now. I'm like, yes, we've been married 12 years, 11 years,
That's so cute.
What would you love? I got clear on that. How do I get this? Because I got clear on what I would love. It's like going
Mm,
to a restaurant and trying to order something without looking at the menu. You could do it, they might have it, but wouldn't you
mm.
rather be specific about what you love? Third quadrant is
Yeah,
where
place your order.
it's
Yeah.
my sweet spot. I love all four quadrants, but I've recently shifted into the last two, which are career and creative expression. What's your work in the world? Does it make you feel fully lit up? What would you love to do if there were no obstacles? If you had all the money you'd ever wanted, what would you actually do?
Mm,
Would you be directing plays? Would you go be an astronaut like you promised your 5-year-old self you would be? Would you be in horticulture? What would you actually love if you weren't chasing somebody else's idea of success? And the last one is freedom, time freedom, money freedom. And that's my sweet spot because I thought in order to have financial freedom, I couldn't have career freedom. But as it
mhm.
turns out, you get to have
You
it
can have
all.
all.
Starting with the question, what would you love? What would you love? Now, there's more to that, but the secret sauce you and I know. After that, step number 3, feel good.
That's
Feel
my
good
next
now.
question, Dana.
Feel
That's my next
good
question.
right now. That's it. If you only did those 3 things, notice what you've already created that's good. Notice I
Mm,
did not say, go look at all the things you didn't do well.
right.
That's not helpful, nor
What's
is it
working?
necessary.
Yeah.
You cannot dissolve the dark by examining the dark. The only way to dissolve the dark is turn on the light, and this is the work. Turn on the light by noticing what you've created, evidence that you can do it. Turn on the light by letting your heart just sing to you what you would love, and then make the light even brighter. Turn up your dial and do what makes you
Mm,
feel good right now. Why are we
mm,
talking? Because your energy feels really good. I say no to a lot of podcasts because I don't love the energy. I don't
mm.
even barely know you. I just know your energy is great.
Yeah,
And so I
same.
get to say yes to the things that light me up, not the things I think I should be doing. And
Yes.
oh, light,
Mm.
light, light. And then we do things that feel good. I went for a run this morning. I had my coffee with oat milk and whipped cream because I love it. I went
I love the whipped
and
cream. Have you tried cold foam?
I love cold foam.
I'm obsessed with
Any as
cold foam.
yummy
I
as
just stopped
kosher milk.
buying it. I like I
Can you
got yeah.
Can
Yeah.
you make coffee even better? Yes, you can. And this is the question I love to ask. Can it get any better than this? Yes, it
How good
can.
does
Let's go.
it get?
Can it get any better than this? Yes, it can. Yes, it can. Yes, it can. And so, and I do this with my clients and also with the women that I mentor in the recovery program, right? All that's for fun and for free. But I push them and say, "Oh, you had a good day. How could you make it great? What can you do can make even feel even better, even better, even better?" Not to chase the feeling of like, I've got to feel good all the time. But guess what? You could.
And that's the expanding your capacity to feel good, which
Yes.
is my next question is it is this kind of retraining, right? The nervous system is like, ah, wait, ah, feel good for how long? Oh my God, like, oh, for that long? Okay, wait, but something bad's gonna happen. The other shoe's gonna drop. So that's that retraining, right? And so, do you have tips? Do you have any stories about like how you've kind of and maybe you didn't need to do this for yourself, but maybe you just help other women to do this to like expand and extend that ability to receive more of that goodness and receive more of that joy and actually allow themselves to keep focusing, keep pointing the wand at what's working.
Yeah. Oh, please know that I have to do it for myself in order to feel confident in claiming it and walking other people through
Yeah,
the work.
yeah.
Yes, I absolutely have gotten to do this for myself, and it's been a gift. It's
Mm.
been such a gift. It's been such a gift. And the nervous system, right, our bodies are so, I love our bodies so much, but they just weren't quite built right. They were built to keep us safe, which, I mean, that's still helpful. It helps my seven
Helps
and
us
nine
not
year
die.
It helps my 7 and 9-year-old not run into traffic. The 4-year-old is a different story
Yeah.
because she hasn't quite buckled up, zipped up yet, right? So they are, it is very helpful, but it's not the end all be all. And in most cases, even it is a limitation, but in the name of safety, in the
Yeah.
name of I don't want to be uncomfortable. So the
Yes.
question was, what have I done to retrain nervous system?
Yeah. And
And
what
I
can
like,
we do? What can we do to keep expanding that?
oh, wow, this is so beautiful. And also I just heard like you need to write a book on this because I really could, really could. The other person I want to credit for the woman who's lit the way in this, at least in my path, is Kate Northrup, who
Ugh,
went from her
love her.
transition around like love money or money love story,
Got it right here.
which I relate to this new expanded version of Kate Northrup, who's all about, I can't remember the name of her current book, but it's all about nervous
Oh,
system
do
regulation.
less?
Do less
Love
so
that
that
book.
you can receive more.
Yes.
And so thanks, Kate. Appreciate you. I haven't met you yet, but you'll be on the podcast. Don't you worry. We've already decided
I
it.
just listened to her one of her most recent episodes yesterday and was talking and sharing about it. Yeah.
And so I thought I could spiritually bypass the nervous system because I thought if I pray more, if I meditate more, both of which are helpful, and I suggest those things, then I can bypass the actual biology. And that's not the way it works. We work in harmony. Our mind and our body and our spirit are not separate, right? They're an example of a personal holy trinity. We cannot have one
Mm,
without the other two, a mind and a body and a
mm,
spirit. And when they're all working together in the same rhythm, then we can be wide open to receive. So,
yeah, that's great.
although these are nervous system and or spiritual practices, they're all connected. And if
Yeah,
we want to be as wide open and available for as much abundance and how good can it get, then we want to make sure that we're weaving in both mind practices and spiritual practices and somatic experiences.
that's
I
great.
am I don't feel PhD expertise in this, but I have done a lot of work and practice. Work feeling like play, not work like hustling and driving.
Hmm.
I've done intentional, like, I feel this way. So, what could I do to integrate and feel more grounded, more safe? So, the ones that I personally practice are I have a pretty extensive morning practice because I believe the way we set up the whole trajectory is number one, before you go to bed, the last things that you're thinking about.
Yeah,
And then the practices, starting with the morning,
yeah.
that create a launch pad for
Give
what I
us
can
your
do for my
morning.
morning. Yes.
Will you please give us your
So
morning?
before I go to bed, I am listening to I love Insight Timer. I wish they would let me affiliate with them because I recommend it to everyone. There's a free version that's fabulous and a paid version that's even more fabulous. But I listen to, or in some cases, I listen to your hypnosis podcast. Like I told you, I listened to the one
Oh,
that you
that
published in like
episode.
10 days
Oh my
on
God.
abundance.
Girl, I listen to that every night because I play it for my kids.
Yes.
Okay, so keep going.
So that's what I'm thinking about when I consciously, that gets to the subconscious, and the subconscious mind loves it. She plays with it all night long. And so
Oh, that's
when I
beautiful.
wake up, I'm already feeling abundant. I
Yes.
do have a wake up practice that Kathy shared with us where I put hands on heart and
Mm,
feel what it feels like to be abundant already, to have everything
yes.
I've ever needed right in this moment, and to generate state of
Hmm.
abundance before my feet ever hit the floor.
Mm, that's
And then I
great.
do hit the floor. Morning practice looks like some time in conversation with God. It used to be more rote prayers, but they stopped working, so I stopped using them.
Hmm.
And so now it's a conversation with God. And I love
Hmm.
Donald, help me out, Walsh, Donald Neil Walsh, Conversations
Oh,
with
uh-huh.
God,
Yes.
which is my intro to like, you can just talk to God. And that's for me what prayer is a talking, a sharing,
Dialogue.
a
Yeah.
dialogue. Well, it's a one-sided because then what happens is I sit in meditation mostly for 20 minutes is a sweet spot. Try to get 22 if I can, just
Okay.
because of the double number.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Angel number there.
in that meditation, I can direct it. I ask a question, or I'm available for the silence. And
Mm,
then the downloads start to come. They don't come from my mind, they just come through the mind.
yes.
And I'm given direction for the day, or a feeling, or a word for the day.
Yeah.
And then I open the journal and I generally write out visioning. So claiming in
Hmm.
the present
Hmm.
something that I'm manifesting or creating. I'm
Hmm.
so happy and grateful right now as this trip to France is on the book. So I'm feeling myself having just eaten a pain chocolat with my girls in the Eiffel Tower and sensing wearing the beret and the scarf and writing that in the present tense, just a
Yeah.
paragraph.
Yeah.
And then a what I call the gratitude. Esther Hicks calls it or Abraham Hicks calls it the gratitude rampage or rampage of
Okay.
appreciation. I
Uh-huh.
don't love rampage. It feels too aggro for me. So I call it the gratitude waterfall. And I
Ooh, that's
waterfall
nice.
all over the page. I write it and then I speak it aloud. I'm so grateful for this. I'm deeply grateful for this. I'm grateful for this. And I'm grateful for this. And I'm grateful for this. In the class that
Yes.
I just signed off of, we showed that video, that little girl, the curly blonde hair, if you haven't seen it, and
In the
she's in the
mirror?
mirror and she's like, I
Yeah.
love my hair and I love my haircut
Yes.
and I love my dad and my dog. And it's like, it creates
Yes.
this energy.
Yes.
Because here's the other secret. Why do we want to feel good? Because we are made of light. We are made of energy. And when we can start moving the energy up the frequency of creation, which is if you look at the Dr. Richard Hawkins emotional vibration Hertz scale, when do things start happening for you out of the blue? When you're in the blue emotions, when you're
Mm.
in courage and you're in peace and you're in joy, and then starts really raining on you all the goodness you've ever wanted. By
Mhm.
the way, I have a plaque, or it's not a plaque, it's a sign right when you walk in the door, and it says, "This is everything I've ever wanted," because it is.
Mm.
And how do we create more of that? It's the energy. So the energy of gratitude is so high. It straddles between the blue and the purple. These colors align with chakras. And then
Yep.
we start manifesting like it's our job when we're hovering in this energy of deep gratitude and excitement and joy and peace and abundance. And can we please just hang out there? I wish. How do we do that? We practice.
Okay,
We
so
practice.
Dana, I'm just imagining you've got these three littles. How are you doing this gorgeous practice with like a 4-year-old? What,
Mm,
how, because if you can do that, what you're just describing,
mhm.
other women can do it too because you've got these littles. So how does that
Uh,
work?
100%. And so I'm just going to be super candid
Yeah.
because I work with a lot. This is outside of my coaching practice, but I do work with a lot of women who are in recovery, new or
Mm-hmm.
not so new. And they say, I just don't have time to go to meetings anymore, or I don't have time to do the work, or I don't have time to call you. And I'm like, so I'm calling you out on that because I want you to look. I am not superwoman. I am not perfect, but I do have a husband, a full-time one. I got 3 small kids. I run my own business. I'm very deep in my spiritual recovery practice.
Yeah.
Plus, I work with a lot of women and I love doing a lot of things.
Yeah.
Please do not tell me that you don't have the time. You do have the time. We're just making different choices of what we're doing. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, to that end, I wake up at 5 a.m. because that time is precious to me. It's a
Got
sacred
it.
offering to the
Got it. So you're
spirits.
up before them.
Absolutely. I've got
Yeah.
a full 2 hours
Got it.
before my first kid takes a conscious breath.
And then do you get yourself to sleep like at 9:30? Like, because
Mhm.
you got to get up at 5, you right?
Sleep is essential to me. It's a
Yeah.
gift that I give myself. So you better believe I'm in bed between 8:30 and 9:30.
Okay.
Almost every
That's how
night.
you're doing
Almost.
that. Okay, got it.
Yes. Let me
Yeah.
tell you what I'm
Early
not doing.
riser.
I'm
Yeah.
not up scrolling. I'm not up Netflixing. I'm not up
Yes.
texting. I'm not up
Yes.
worrying.
Yeah.
I'm asleep, having given the direction to my subconscious of what she gets to play with all night long. And that's why I get to have the sign in the front of my house that says, "This is everything I've ever wanted." I don't say that to brag, but I'm really, really proud of the commitment that I made to my soul to
And you
show up
can,
for
and
it.
you ought to be because what I hear, you ought to be, and you deserve to be. Not that you need me to say that to you because you get it, but from what I hear, Dana, is incredible discipline. Incredible discipline.
Yes,
Really,
discipline
just
meaning I'm
really
meaning,
choosing
yes,
consciously what you're feeding yourself in every moment.
yes. And discipline means to teach, right? So I've taught myself. I
And you
did
were a
not,
teacher, and
and I
now
was
and
a
you're still a
teacher.
teacher. Yeah.
And even in a classroom, discipline is not offering consequences or shame to the students, although
Mm,
a lot of
mm,
teachers do think that it's all
mm,
about giving the right consequence.
mm.
But the discipline is in the teaching of how beautiful it is to make the right choice. It's in the
Oh, that's
learning.
good.
of how to lean into what makes your soul light up, which is you paying attention to my class right now, so that you can advance whatever your personal goals are. So, at my personal goals are to live a life filled with purpose and freedom and joy all the time, not every once in a while.
Love it.
Even
Love
in the
it.
text, even in the text of recovery that we use, it promises a life that's happy, joyous, and free. That's it. And that's what I'm subscribing to. And so,
Okay, last
so
quote.
many,
Yeah.
yes, go ahead. I'll stop.
No, you finish your thought. Finish. Do you?
I
I
just
don't
think
want to.
that this is what I've noticed. We say things like, well, you can't be happy all the time, or life is hard, or the
Hmm.
struggle is real.
Hmm.
And I just want to invite us to say, hey, I am in charge of what comes out of my mouth. Is life really hard, or is that something you just agreed with that you could make a new agreement? Because
Mm.
my life isn't, my life is filled. Now, it isn't perfect, but it's fun. And I wouldn't use hard to describe it because I stopped pointing the wand in the direction of hard. I stopped pointing the wand in the direction of struggle. And instead, I'm choosing with my practice, with my words, with my meditation, with the podcast that I show up to and the communities I'm involved in, joy. That's it. Abundance, joy, freedom.
Okay, so here's the question that I want to round out with. Recently, well, I don't watch the news either, but I have friends that are in crisis. My high school boyfriend's mom suddenly fell off a balcony the other day. We don't know why. My friend that was on the Goddess of Light panel, no, I'm sorry, the Valentine's panel that I just did a few days ago, her son, I think he was 18, just died in a car accident. When people have tragedy, and this is a hard question, maybe it's not, I don't know. When people have tragedy that they're dealing with, how can they be in the magic wand energy, or
Yes.
get back to it?
Yes, that is a gorgeous question. Okay, so the magic wand is not a band-aid over a bullet hole. I just want to say that. Okay.
Got
So
it.
we're not going to magic wand the fact that someone that you loved died or that
Yeah.
there's a tragedy.
Yeah.
And so the key here is, can you let it be what it is? Can you be present with your grief? Can you invite it in? Can you cry on the floor as often as you need to? Can you let the experience be exactly the way that it is with no judgment and no working hard to change whatever it is? Because the goal isn't to get from feeling terrible to living in joy. The goal is to be present with what is, to allow and invite what is. And in the allowing and in the welcoming, your spirit is able to process and move through those really tragic experiences so that you can reconnect to who you are and whose you are and be carried through by the spirit, by your community. Allowing it, we're not discounting that it's tragic. That's not what we're doing. We're being with what is. We're
Yeah,
being
I
with
love
what
the
is.
Byron Katie, like loving what is.
Yes.
Yes. Oh, yeah, because Dana, I find that when we are fully feeling our feelings and we're fully in touch with these tragedies that do happen on a regular basis, you can then kind of potentially, I have judged myself for not being in a light, high vibe and be, oh, I'm so taken down by this. And so
Mhm.
it's like really that, I think, permission, like you just said, to feel it, it's not denying it. Yes, this is real. This is true. This exists. Like being with the shadow aspect of life and I don't think there's necessarily a clean, perfect way to navigate these things. It's just gonna be but it is about being in the river, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the same practices, right? Because all those practices that I mentioned, those are
Mm.
love, expressions of love. Those you use the word discipline. I don't necessarily love that word, but those are expressions of love. to me and my body and my spirit so that I can be an expression of love to people around me, or so that I can just be love wherever I am.
Wow.
And so, in the middle of
Mm.
what seems terrible and tragic, can we allow things to be as they are and love ourselves through one small action at a time?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
then,
yeah.
and allow ourselves to be held and carried by the river, which sometimes looks like the women or friends in my life.
Mm.
And I met this morning with a client who she texted me this yesterday, and she's like, I quit. I'm done. I'm done. Cancel all of our calls. And I lovingly was like, well, we're not going to do that, but we can use our call for whatever it is that you want. And so she had had an experience that was really devastating for her. And just in holding space for her, she was able to process, allow the emotions to move, energy and emotion.
Mm. Mm.
And so this is not what we would expect from someone who had a deep tragedy. But by the end of the call, she got reconnected to who she was. And so she was reignited because she allowed herself to be supported.
Mm. Yes, which is not always easy.
No.
Yeah,
And
that's a
that's why
practice too.
a lot of us
Yeah.
are subscribed to the Lone Ranger syndrome of I have to do this myself. I should be strong. I'm just going to be
Lone
strong
Ranger
through
syndrome, that's
this.
good. Yeah.
Right. And I'm going to just walk through this, and I'm going to be strong for my kids. Like, why don't do that? That's disruptive to your nervous system and blocking you from everything you've ever wanted and the path to depression, anxiety, and nervous breakdown. So just so you know, you don't have to be strong. Just allow it to be and allow yourself to be held. I'm saying this for me too.
Yeah.
Because
I love
I
this.
have the subscription. It's on pause right now. The Lone Ranger, gotta do it on my own. It's not
You're
gone. It's just
hilarious.
in
I love
pause.
this. Oh, it's great. It's great. Yeah, it's really setting down ego and just being like, it's okay to receive support and ask for help.
Yes.
Yeah.
And in that, we allow others to rise, to support and
Right.
give.
Right.
Yes.
Give them the opportunity. Don't rob them of the opportunity. People love the feeling of helping someone.
Yes. So
Yeah.
many good brain chemicals and altruism. So
Yeah.
many. Don't deny us.
Even just
Allow us
watching
to.
someone else give to someone makes you
That's
happier.
right. The
Yes.
observer effect us.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Thank you, Dana, for all of this. This is gorgeous. I love so many pieces of what you've said are just poetry, and I just love it. And I can't wait to take a hot bath and listen back to you talking and just let it wash through me and inspire me. And I hope that the women that are listening and the men are inspired as well. And if there's anything that resonates with you guys that are listening, and you want to ask Dana questions, you want to ask me questions, or you're like, wait, I don't agree, da 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 da, just reach out to us. The information will be in the show notes. And is there any kind of closing gem of wisdom you want to leave us with?
Mm. This might sound a little cliche, but there is no search for worthiness. There's only a remembering. So we can stop looking and start remembering through the practices that we've so lovingly discussed today of prayer and meditation. You used a hot bath. That's a great nervous system recalibration. To remember that you were created, born, entered into the world worthy, and you've never shifted, not even once. And if you want to know what it is that your assignment is, it's the answer to the question, what would I love? That's it. That's your assignment. Your assignment meaning the direction you've been giving for your one precious life, this go.
Dana, I love being around you. I love hearing you. I love your energy. I love your smile. It's infectious in the best way possible. I'm so proud of the work that you're doing and happy for the people that get to be supported by you. I think that they are so blessed and you're so blessed to be able to support them. So thank you for the work that you do and the work that you continue to do in your life and the way that you're leading for your children. And I can't wait for the pictures of France to be on your Instagram and see all of it and cheer you on. And Just be so excited for all of the things that are unfolding for you and stay in connection with you because I think there's a lot that you and I might end up doing together in the future, and it's very exciting.
I am so grateful for you and for the impact that you likely unknowingly have had on me just in the very recent history. You are a gorgeous light in the world. I have no doubt your listeners are the same because we attract who we are. So I'm sure you're a bright light, dear listener. And thank you for your work in the world with your breathwork community, with your emails, which I read with attention.
Thank
And
you.
for your podcast as well, Siri. What a gift it is
Oh,
to share this time with you. Thank you.
thank you so much. Thank you guys for listening. Keep expanding your capacity to feel good one breath at a time. Keep being that love that Dana was talking about. Love you guys. Talk to you soon.